Let's continue with that session, children. So in the last session we discussed about that activity, no? So in that activity, so that rusting, we have to convert them into the test tube and we have to add that water and we have to separate the suspension particles, and that suspension particles is dipped in the china dish. That suspension rust particles we have to test with the litmus paper. So here we have to take the red litmus paper. So when we dip the red litmus paper in the suspension particles, means it will turns to blue. So the observation, so what we observe here, the red litmus paper turns to blue. If the red litmus paper turns to blue, means we can tell it as it's basic in nature. So the iron oxide, that is rust, is basic in nature. And does copper also get rusted? Copper is also rusted, children. So when you are when in your home there are copper vessels, are there? No. It's rusted. Yes. The copper vessel is rusted. How we can identify the copper is rusted or not? Yes. The greenish layer is obtained in that copper vessel. So the greenish layer is obtained in that copper vessel, means we can tell it as the copper is rusted. So in your home you can see that copper water bottles are there and copper vessels are there. So after a few days, if you not wash it properly, means the copper rusting is appeared. So how the rusting is appeared? So what is the chemical reaction takes place? So in the rusting, yes. So the copper is reacted with moist air. So moist means water molecules, that is H2O, and air means oxygen and carbon dioxide. So in our atmosphere, the oxygen gases is there and also carbon dioxide gases is there. So from that it will forms copper hydroxide, that is CuOH twice. So CuOH twice means we can tell it as copper hydroxide. And another one is copper carbonate, that is CuCO3. It's copper carbonate. Actually, so the copper carbonate and copper hydroxide are highly poisonous. So when we take the copper bottles or copper vessels, so inside some greenish layer is obtained, means, so with that when we take some water, means it's highly poisonous. For that we have to remove the greenish layer. So how we can remove? Yes, we have to apply ash powder and citric acid. So citric acid is present in which plant, children? Yes, lemon and tamarind. So in tamarind, what acid is present? Tartaric acid is present. So we have to take ash, lemon and tamarind. So with that the acid is there. So when we apply the greenish layer, so that greenish layer is removed. Actually the greenish layer is base, it's copper hydroxide and copper carbonate. So when we apply acid in that, the greenish layer can be removed. And now we can recall the activity of burning magnesium ribbon. So what is the formula for magnesium? Mg. So when we burn the magnesium, what does it forms? It forms magnesium oxide. So the magnesium is burned, that is Mg plus O2, it will form magnesium oxide. So what is the formula for magnesium oxide, children? MgO. So the ash obtained on burning magnesium ribbon is dissolved in water and tested for its acidic or basic nature. So we have to take that ash, that magnesium oxide ash. So that ash is dissolved in water. And after that, we have to dip that dissolved water solution with litmus paper to identify whether it's acidic or basic nature. So is the solution acidic or basic? So when we take the two different litmus paper, one is red litmus paper and another one is blue litmus paper. So when we dip the red litmus paper in magnesium oxide solution, so the red litmus paper turns to blue color. So blue color means is the solution is acidic or basic, children? Yes, it's basic in nature. So the red litmus paper turns to blue color. So blue color means we can tell it as it is basic in nature. So how do you ascertain this? So how did you identify it? So with the help of red litmus paper, the red litmus paper turns blue. So with that we can conclude that it's basic in nature. So oxide of magnesium is also basic in nature. So first we will do that activity with iron. So iron, with presence of moist air, that rusting will appear. So when we test that nature, it's acidic or basic, children? It's basic in nature. And now we take that magnesium is burnt with oxygen. So what happens? The magnesium oxide is formed. So that magnesium oxide is tested with the help of red litmus paper. It turns to blue. So blue means we can tell it as it's basic in nature. And iron oxide is also basic in nature. Magnesium oxide is also basic in nature. So generally we can tell it as metal oxides are basic in nature. In general we can tell it as metal oxides are basic in nature. So how we can confirm with that? Yes, we can do the two activity, no. The first activity is rusting of iron. The second activity is magnesium oxide. The rusting iron and magnesium oxide is dissolved in water, and further when we dip with red litmus paper, it turns to blue color. So blue color means we can tell it as it is basic in nature. So generally we can tell it as metal oxides are basic in nature. And next we can see the chemical properties of non-metals. So what happens when the non-metal reacts with oxygen? So the non-metal is treated with oxygen, it forms non-metallic oxide. So the metal is reacted with oxygen, it forms metallic oxide. So the non-metal is reacted with the oxygen, it forms non-metallic oxide. So let me see one activity, that is activity 4.4. So in that we have to take a small amount of powdered sulfur in a deflagrating spoon and heat it. So in deflagrating spoon is not available, you may take a metallic cap of any bottle and wrap a metallic wire around it and give it the shape shown in figure. So it is a deflagrating spoon. So with the deflagrating spoon we can take that sulfur powder, or we can take a metallic cap of any bottle. So it's also can be used. So we have to wrap the metallic wire around it. So with that help we can take that sulfur powder. And as soon as sulfur starts burning, introduce the spoon into a glass jar or glass tumbler. So when the sulfur burns, so after that we have to introduce that burning sulfur in the glass jar or glass tumbler. So cover the tumbler with a lid to ensure that the gas produced does not escape. So we have to cover the glass jar or glass tumbler with the help of lid, because that gas produced do not escape in the glass jar or glass tumbler. So this is the glass jar. So we have to cover with that glass jar with that lid. So why we have to cover it? Yes, the gas particles will not escape. So that's why we have to cover with the help of lid. So we have to take that sulfur with that deflagrating spoon and heat it over it, and after that we have to keep them in that jar, glass jar, and cover with that lid. So the gases will not escape in that glass jar. So after that, so we have to remove the spoon after some time and add a small quantity of water into the tumbler and quickly replace the lid. So we have to remove the spoon after some time and we have to add small amount of water into the glass jar, and we have to quickly replace the lid and shake the tumbler well. So we have to shake the tumbler or glass jar well. So why we have to shake? Yes, the gaseous particles. So we have to add some water in that. No. So that every particles is dissolved in that water. So that's why we have to shake that glass jar or tumbler well. So check the solution with red and blue litmus paper. So we have to transfer the solution in the china dish, and next we have to check with that red litmus paper and blue litmus paper. So what we observe here, the blue litmus paper turns to red. So here the blue litmus paper turns to red. So what we can conclude? So this is the equation goes on. The sulfur reacts with oxygen. It forms sulfur dioxide. So this is the equation, that is S plus O2 gives SO2. So the sulfur dioxide is in gaseous state. And further, so what we have done? Yes, the sulfur dioxide is treated with water. So we have to dissolve that sulfur dioxide with water, no? So what does it forms? It forms sulfurous acid.